That's a nice medium shade. Now I need a light, bright shade of green. And I guess, and I did that by just taking a lot of the yellow, the canary yellow or the lemon yellow, and mixing it with a tiny bit of green. And so that's like kind of a highlight. Now I'm taking a tiny bit of fluorescent and mixing it in as well. So evidently green has the most shades of colors out of all the colors. There's a few of the shades. I'm glad you're here. Okay, so I already have a painting. I painted this at a wine and paint party that I instructed in Germany, which I think is really badass. If you're starting out with a white canvas, just do the white canvas thing, okay? Just do the white canvas. And if you're painting over a painting, just, it doesn't affect what I'm doing right now, so I'm just kind of completely ignoring what's underneath. But I painted that over 10 years ago, and I instructed it. You can see it's very simple. I used to be one of the wine and paint people who would teach people how to paint, and as they got wasted on alcoholic beverages. So it's definitely one of the, it's a fun thing to do. I mean, it's a great way to socialize, and it's a lot of work though. It's very expensive to fund a bunch of paint for people, and usually we catered and all of that, so it became kind of an expensive endeavor. But you know, I would walk home with like $800 in a night, which was cool, especially at the time. I mean, you know, because we had people, like 60 people there, and they were paying for like food and drinks and instruction, and it was a big thing, so it was a lot of fun. All right, so the first thing we're gonna do is I am going to paint a V shape and fill in that V shape with my hazy kind of fluorescent yellow mixture. Again, I'm gonna get my paints wet with water. All right, so just starting out with the background, because we want to start out with what's furthest from you as the viewer, and then build up what's closest to you. Otherwise you'll paint the trees, and then you're gonna have to paint the sky in between the trees limbs, which is a no. That's a no thank you. So okay, adding more thicker layers. It's good to be confident. Okay, so I'm realizing this always happens to me. It makes me mad whenever the painting shows through too much. I feel like I need to get out the gesso and mix it with that color. So 1 second. So my friends, this is my tub of gesso, which is technically what is put on the canvas surface to make it white. Most canvases, if they're cotton stretched, it's a fabric, and then you paint the gesso, which is the white thing over the fabric that makes it where you can paint and it doesn't absorb into the fabric. So if you want to paint over a painting, technically you're supposed to do this first to prevent what's happening, but like sometimes I skip steps, whatever. But hang on. What I'm gonna do is essentially, and as you can see, I bought like a massive tube of it because I paint over paintings a lot. Oh, that was a lot of talking. Okay, So what we're gonna do is set that there for now. And I'm just gonna like take my palette knife and gotta get the paint off of it, scrape off the top some blobs of the gesso. That's good for now. And honestly, I'm just gonna go like that. Why not? I'm gonna mix it in with I'm just gonna cover it, mix it in with what's on there and whatever. Because I'm gonna be painting it like kind of a light yellow color anyways. And I want you to embrace hang on, I need to do, I already have the wide shot. I want you to embrace the explorative aspect of painting. It's not always super straightforward, and it's okay. Like I love that about some demonstration techniques where it's just A to Z, but that's not reality. Okay, that's just not reality. So, and I'm not saying that my reality in painting is everybody's reality, but like I'm just showing you my reality. Okay. Yes, and we're just gonna mix it in with what we have and just paint over this guy, and we're gonna make it a relatively thin layer. We don't need too much. We just need enough to push all of these shapes and colors back, you know? Okay. And you know, there's something meaningful about painting over a painting that you saved for a long time but that you don't really like. I mean, I'm not trying to say that this is a bad painting, but like it doesn't say anything. It's a demonstration piece. It's whatever. I mean, sometimes art, I don't know, sometimes you just make art and you care nothing of it and you're just like whatever, like especially after a bunch of years go by and you've made a ton of artwork, because I have made many paintings. But yeah, don't overthink like, oh, the texture, the smoothness, because we're gonna be painting over this whole thing anyways. You know, so it's not as serious as we make it out to be. Really, the brush marks that are super final are the last brush marks. The first brush marks are the ones you don't need to worry about as much because they're very in a flux. You can always paint over it and change it, and anything can work. But the further you go in the painting, the more narrow your painting options become for it to actually be a good painting. So you eliminate all these possibilities until you have something super focused and refined, and in those final stages only a few brush marks will work for that subject. But in the beginning stages, anything goes, because it could be anything, but the potential is limitless. So it's a good feeling to have. And I'm loving the light on the wall, so just, you know, sucking it in, breathing it in. I don't know. All right, I have to let this dry anyway, so at least a little bit, and thankfully it doesn't take long to dry. But if you've noticed, the beginning stages of a painting often take some time to like it can be hard getting it going. Like it's hard to get momentum sometimes in your painting. Like that's okay though, you know, that's just part of the process. All right, so now hang on, I'm touching the painting. It's still it's still kind of going. There's drying still, so I'll just do some ASMR while it dries. Oh, so I'm realizing some of the noises from downstairs are drills, not saws. That's good to know, because I wasn't sure what it was. I love this new camera. I just got it for Christmas. So I like how it just, I don't know, I can monitor myself in it. So it's like, it's good for like a headshot. And I can monitor myself in the other ones too. I need to flip the little thing. I love this outfit. I'm checking myself out in the camera because I might use something as a screenshot. You know? Most of my best pictures are screenshots, so it's a little pro hack. Again, killing time until this paint dries. That is one of the annoying things about doing gesso, is you have to let it dry. You know what I mean? Alright. But yeah, when I'm on top of things, I print out my reference and whatnot. But a lot of times I have no idea what my reference is going to be. And my printer is like easily fucked up. Like you can't, it's very fidgety. I can't explain it. So yeah, let's try this V thing. Okay, doesn't that look better? And it's mixing into the white, whatever. I don't care, because it might look better that way anyways. So, hazy, yellowish background. Step 1. We're making it kind of it's the negative space, the sky. It's kind of this hazy color. Already I need to mix more paint. So again, this is another example of how sometimes the painting process can be laborious, and no, I didn't even need more white, and it can just kind of take some time to get going. Okay, so we're mixing a yellow and white. It's fluorescent yellow and white. It's kind of hard because I'm running out of space to keep it out of the other colors. Okay. Are you ready? All right. Again, focusing on, painting is meditative because you just kind of focus on only the painting for a while. I suppose your mind can wander, but it's like I'm focusing on this one color and spreading this color across the canvas on the top part of the canvas. It's like this hazy, murky, weird, nuanced highlighter, foggy yellow. By the time it's done, it's gonna look really cool. So, alright, so now we're gonna paint the distant mountains with the light blue and it's like a blue-gray, and it's not much darker than the background, but it's a little bit darker than that in places. So it's like, these are the very distant mountains that don't have a lot of contrast, because everything in the distance has very little contrast, visually speaking, so less contrast. So not as many strong lights and darks. And I feel like that could be maybe more green than it is, but you can always add different colors in it later. Like right now the paint's getting a little bit thick. But yeah, so it's basically kind of like these jaggedy, hazy, distant mountains. And I feel like the color I'm missing right now is turquoise. And sometimes you don't know what color you need until, oh wow, it got dark. I guess the sun is kind of setting. Is it bright enough still, guys? I might not be able to finish this painting today, but I at least started it. Alright, so we're gonna do like a turquoisey color. So we're gonna take this turquoisey blue, mix it with some white, and mix it with some yellow. This is definitely too bright, so I mean it's mixing in with the murky green around it, which I guess is good. Okay. And then I feel like this is almost the color we're going for. We'll take a little bit of red, because red is the opposite color of green, and that's going to take away some of the brightness. Alright, I gotta stay focused. Alright. So, yeah, let's keep going. I gotta pull up my reference. Alright, so whatever you're looking at, whether it's in real life or not, that's your guide. We're gonna take a little bit of that hazy green that I mix, and I'm mixing it into the gray. It's okay if there's brush strokes. We love brush strokes. That's something that AI doesn't really get. It doesn't understand brush strokes very much. Like you can sometimes get it in with your language, but okay, so we're, oh, see, that's way too dark. So we're gonna add some white over it. Oh my lord, did I mess up? Did I actually mess up? There are no accidents, only happy accidents. Let me show you. White and green, paint over it, and look, now it's just like a little bit more of like depth in that color. Okay. All right, just making sure that nothing is too dark in the very, very distant, and everything is subject to change, so keep that in mind. But a lot of what we're doing is just plotting out the general vibe. So now we're painting the middle kind of area, and it's almost like this almond shape that is split. Like this is the overall vibe, because in here is going to be trees that come up closer, and another like other like moments of land that are closer. So you kind of have to mentally break it up. Like in the back, in the distance, it's very far away. Then it's medium far away, and it's a little brighter. Then the super close up, it's going to have a lot of contrast, but in this case it's going to be darker. So I hope that makes sense. You'll see what I mean as we go, because I have to go in and add like nuance as I paint. So we're gonna fill this in with the light green, and I'm kind of going back and forth between a few different shades of the light green that I mixed, because it's grass, and you know, by the time we're done with it, it's just gonna look like distant trees basically. And again, so Yeah. Now we're gonna paint the land in between by doing horizontal brush marks, like little brush marks, back and forth, back and forth. This is the land in the valley in the distance. This is how you paint a landscape, guys. All right, now we're painting a very pale green back here. It's like this hazy patch of fog. And I might have to add some contrast around it to make it feel like fog, but we can always work into things and create more details as we go. Right now we're working on laying down the foundation. And you really have to stick out some of these beginning stages of the painting where it doesn't feel as exciting as maybe the end stages. But if I can walk away and see everything on there that needs to technically be on there, I'm gonna feel good, because I can come back later and add the final touches and those interesting details. So keep that in mind. 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 Okay. Checking myself out. I know it's cringe. I'm sorry. Whatever. I don't care. Alright. So we're still kind of laying out the foundation of the distant part of the painting. Alright, I'm not going to get too caught up in here right now, because I feel like in order for everything in the center, all this to make sense, I have to put the trees on the outside. So the first thing we're gonna do is we're gonna block out this space with dark green, basically like a dark foresty green. And look, I'm gonna make, like, this is the top of a tree, and this is gonna be at the top of a tree, or this is gonna be a tree right here. So it's like you make these little sticks. These are going to be the two main trees. Everything else is going to be illusion, okay? So this is a painting lesson about how to make illusions with techniques, I feel like, because you'll see what I mean. So up here it's just going to be like dark, and we'll do little things later that bring it out and make it make sense visually. But we're gonna curve in. This is gonna be the side of a little stream. So this is gonna be some land in here, but it's a little bit chiaroscuro, a little bit dark. I feel like I need to mix a dark turquoise. So yeah, let's do that. We're gonna take this color that's already kind of turquoisey, mix it with some yellow. Now we're gonna mix it with some red, but not too much red. I don't know if this is, I need it to be darker, I need it to be richer, so we need more blue, and I can see that I'm kind of like running out of some of my blue, so let me get more blue on my paint palette. Again, this is an example of how having the physical materials is challenging at times. It just is. You know, right when you get on a roll, you have to add more. which is why there is an appeal. There is definitely an appeal to iPads and iPad art. And I want to get another iPad because I had one forever and I loved drawing on it. Did I get shit on my face? Okay, good. I loved drawing and doing all of that, but I don't know. It broke after having it for like over 10 years. It finally shit the bed, and yeah, that's my life. But some of my best videos are on that iPad still, and the issue with it is it doesn't charge anymore. So that's kind of like the main issue, is it doesn't hold charge. But I have some videos on it, and I wonder if I can get off. Okay, let's get back to the painting. So yeah, I don't know if you can tell, but yeah, this angle on my camera is new. Like, this today is the first time I've used this exact angle. I changed it a little bit since my last video, and I moved it kind of more angled like this way. Hopefully you can see more of my like face a little bit more. It's easy. It's not like a full back view, if that makes sense. I don't know. Let me know if you like it. It's kind of more of like a corner view, not so like, because what I was doing is I was angling up like the window to be like completely square with me, rather than being like in the corner of the window, if that makes sense. I don't know. All right, I'm adding more blue into this dark green mixture and more red just to deepen it. Okay. More blue. All right, that's good. So this is gonna be the contrast at the front of the painting that's gonna make it make sense. So yeah, all of this over here is, I'll show you how we're gonna make it feel like trees. Right now we're just kind of plotting out the larger shapes. Remember I talked about the land back here? We're gonna reiterate some of that land with this dark blue, kind of slowing down in the hills and really feeling your way through the crevices of the land. You can tell whenever a painter does that. It's important. You gotta have places where you paint quickly and places where you paint kind of slowly. I hope that makes sense. Yeah, in here, it's like up and down motion in here, okay? And now painting the right side of the land. And right now I'm just trying to feel it out. You can always move things. At the end of the day, you're gonna have to feel it out too. So anyways, yeah, so on this side there's gonna be rocks. So we're just gonna plot out these rocks, one that's large, one that's smaller, that's tucked behind, one on the right side as well. And I'm just plotting out the light source, which seems to be a little bit on this side. Almost, well, I don't know. It's a little all over the place. I mean, it's AI, so I feel like in places the light source is like, it's basically coming from the back. It's like backlit. So up front is gonna be dark and silhouetted. I don't know if silhouetted is a word, but it's gonna be dark and it's gonna be a silhouette, okay? And that's what we're doing because it's backlit, and so there's gonna be little remnants of light that kind of frame some of the dark shapes. So right now we're painting in the darkness, all right? And that's gonna give meaning to the light. You gotta have light to have the dark, and that is the truth. That is biblical, basically. It's probably somewhere in there. Alright, so taking the light green, the bright kind of lime green, and we're just gonna fill this in. This is the land that's kind of closer to us, and again, we're gonna adjust a lot of this, but this part of the painting I'm making notes to self, which means that I'm just adding the things in there enough so I can get through the entire painting and then go in and deepen what I did before. So that's a good way to think about it. Okay, so adding the lighter green in here as well. And again, painting through, you're painting quickly will give it that kind of carefree, painterly look where you can see the brush strokes. But if you pass through the painting multiple times, there's going to be incredible detail, even though there's these quick brush strokes. So like those two things blending together and like marrying together in a painting is a really cool thing. So keep that in mind. So wait, this is actually, I feel like, so my canvas is not the same ratio as the AI, because all of the AI paintings are square, and I make mine mostly rectangle, although I did buy some square canvases because I have some ideas. So we're gonna make this right side dark as well, and then we're gonna go in and fill this in, but a lot of this is supposed to be green. And in here, making it a bit lighter. I don't know what's happening right there. I need to leave that part of the painting alone and move on to what I said I was going to do, because right now it's bothering me that over here is really just it's basically blank, so we have to fill it in. All right, so we're going to just fill this in with this dark color. And again, so there's this tree here, which honestly I feel like that it needs to be more like right here. So I don't know what I'm gonna do. I might make two trees, but you know, I have to change it a little bit because that's too tall. You know, I'm gonna be shifting as I go. All right, so there's going to be a tree on this side, but it's going to be further back than the other tree because we don't want it to be fully symmetrical, because that's annoying because it's a landscape. And that's the other thing that AI does a lot, is they sometimes just make everything way too balanced. It's like, dude, that's not life. Like, come on. That makes it less artsy to have it fully balanced, you know? But they might change that. Okay. So this is the tree on this side, which I'm just doing side to side brush marks, kind of hatching through my vertical stick, doing smaller brush strokes towards the top of the tree. And as you can see in here, I kind of messed up, but I'll work on that here in a little bit. Okay. And then, so that's going to be one of the trees. And then there's another tree up here that is going to be very obvious and prominent. So it's this motion. How do you say it? It's just kind of like that. You just kind of dab it. I have a few different colors on my brush, which is one of my favorite techniques. And I'll show you, like, after you get the main colors and shapes on there, then you can really like pull the painting out, you know. And then the little tiny moments up here. Allowing the organicness to show through. And then taking a lighter shade of green and just kind of working it into the skyline. Because these are the trees that are like further back behind the trees that are super close up. And then we're doing a darker on top of that, just to kind of give it some depth. And we're going to be doing more of that on this side, but I didn't want to overwhelm you. It's kind of a dance between different colors. So yeah, now just taking some medium light green. I'm gonna add more water to my palette because once those blobs dry, you can't get them wet again. So you gotta keep them wet. And some people don't do this type of thing, but I've been a painter for a long time and I'm telling you it works. Okay. Alright, so now we're gonna take a little bit of that medium green. It's almost like I'm mixing two greens together. And you can do that. You can mix different greens, different colors together that you already mixed. Okay. I need it to be a lot lighter than that. So I'm going to mix that green into my white and make it low contrast, because these are trees in the distance. It's almost like I have too much water on my brush. Okay. And you know, you might see me struggle with my materials a little here and there. It's okay. I've been painting a long time, and yet there's still so much to learn with painting. It's never ending. That's why I love it. Okay. So behind this tree, see where we're getting this like hazy medium shade of green. And this is going to feel like it's happening behind that tree. And we're going to go back and forth between painting the trees behind the trees and the trees forward. It's not super linear. See how I'm dabbing in some of that lighter green in here. And that makes it feel like there's some light coming through behind it. And doing that in a few places, and it's kind of a little bit, maybe a little too wet to get the full effect that I'm going for, but you can, like I said, make notes to self all along the way, which means you do something enough so you can, when you look at it again, you know what you were trying to do, and then you can work on it more, and then it looks better as you work on it, because that is the entire painting process, is seeing deeper. So yeah, see how I'm bringing that dark tree in front of some of these lighter trees in the distance. Already that side is kind of coming along, and getting those medium tones is really part of it. Alright guys, I know this is cringe, but I feel like this could be a good cover photo. So, because look, the light behind me kind of like, it looks so good right now. Hang on. Is it cringy? Okay. Whatever. That's good. Alright. I think that's good. I don't care. This is my channel. I get to do what I want. Wait, is this off the frame? Here. I thought I had been monitoring. Sorry. I love that it's 5 o'clock and it's still light outside. Like, it's making me so happy. Now that I have hair that I love, like, this is my dream hair. This is my dream hair. My confidence is like so through the roof. Like, you cannot touch me. Like, I am above, honey. Like, I'm on another level. So yeah, I feel like getting the right angle is important. It's like, you gotta get like the hourglass. But a little smile is good too, because I feel like sometimes I look maybe too serious in my photos, where it's like, okay, is she nice? You know, because I am nice. Okay, so I might be, you know, a little full of myself sometimes, but I'm nice. I do like this fit. It's like cute, comfy, and pockets, guys, pockets, which we love. Okay, back to the painting. It's actually coming along nicely, so I want to keep working on it while it's, you know, looking good. Shh. Shh. Relax. Sometimes I wonder if I should do a full meditation video like this. You know, like talking about how to unblock artist block. Unblock artist block. Unblock artist block. Okay, let's get back into the painting, because it's not going to be bright all day. And I want to get I want to get to a good stopping point, you know. So some turquoise green in the middle, and I'm doing kind of a watery shade, like lots of water, because I'm using the canvas as the light, and I'm feeling through here. I'm keeping it kind of ambiguous because I'm not totally sure where everything is going to start and stop. Taking a little bit of my dark turquoise and outlining some of this light, these light little land crevices. This dark part kind of blending in with the trees. Let's fill some of this in. using side to side brush strokes as well as up and down, kind of hatching. And here are rocks, which you can see I kind of drew them in. And again, my reference image is square, so I'm having to kind of feel out where everything's going to go in a more horizontal landscape, if that makes sense. So some green in here, kind of like the pasty green mixed with the pasty green is almost like the medium tone right now between the bright green and the dark green for now. So we've got this bright green kind of happening in here. This is the grass. And we're deepening the clarity, but keeping it relatively ambiguous as well. Highlighting the grass with some light green, some of that pasty green. We gotta be careful, like that's too much. There we go. Don't be afraid to finger paint. I feel like I say that all the time. And in here needs work. We're gonna figure all this out, okay? But it's actually relatively simple because there's not a ton of colors in this, you know. I'm really glad that I stuck today out, because if you've seen the beginning of this, like earlier whenever I was trying to record, like it was rough, but here we are, and look, my painting is 2/3 done. So like I said, it can be hard getting that momentum, but once you get going, you will be really proud of yourself, and things sometimes work out. And sometimes you need to take a break and step away. Like, used to, old Laurel would have been like, no, I don't want to step away and lose my audience. But now I'm like, guys, if you don't want to watch, bye. Okay? Like, you don't have to watch. So, I've been painting and doing ASMR and figuring out what works and what doesn't work for a long time. So, yeah, I've had to have breaks where I'm not streaming or recording as actively, but that doesn't mean I'm gone forever. It just means I need to revamp myself, or like take a mental break, a mental health break. You know, I mean, I have other things going on in my life, some good, some bad, and you know, last year was a really hard year for me. So we're out of that. We're in a new year. This year's been good. So we're just, you know, we're keeping that energy for this year. You know? So let's get back to the painting. Let me go into... Alright, so in here is a bit rough, and we're just feeling it out. Some of this is that turquoisey green that I mixed earlier, and I'm putting it in the dark color, and then we're highlighting the turquoisey green with the lime green. You see? Okay, and in here, see how I'm blending this bright green with a darker green, and then a darker green around that green. So I will say over here can benefit from even darker greens. And I feel like I need to paint in the rocks before I get crazy in here. So let's paint in the rocks really quick, because So what we're gonna do is we're gonna take our light blue gray shade. Maybe at some point I'll get another camera for my paint palette so you guys can track the colors I'm dipping into. I think I used to have it in like the corner of my video, which I think is good because like it's already hard to toggle all of the different cameras. So if I just had one like in the corner, you could see it. It's an idea, like maybe like right here, you know. All right, so in here are going to be a few rocks. We've got this big rock here, but it needs to be highlighted. And so it's like I'm just painting around it, painting the top of it like that. So there's rock number 1. Here's rock number 2. Just painting in the highlight, and then we'll go from there. I'm noticing that, is that a rock back there? Yes, I believe it's a rock. I'm looking at my reference. And I will say I have painted in plein air, so I have painted outside, and I do have ambitions to bring you guys on an outside painting excursion where I'm painting by the ocean or whatever. But let me tell you, that is a lot of work. It's really hard. It's hard without recording to paint outside because you have the things, you have the paper towels, you have the water, you have the paint, you know, the wind is blowing and your painting flies away. Like, that is the vibe of painting outside. So I'm kind of a studio painter, but it is fun sometimes to go outside, get the plot of your painting outside, and then come back to the studio and work on it in the studio. So wide shot, strike a pose. I know my angles. I feel like other people just can't take as good of pictures of me as I can take of myself, you know? That's just me. I mean, I know my angles. I've lived with myself my whole life. So, and I've been taking pictures of myself since I could hold a camera, really. Okay, so there's that, and then that. There's like 2 little rocks next to each other. Do I need to mix another shade of gray? Possibly. I might need to mix a medium shade of gray. Right now I'm just gonna indicate, and you can see I'm using a pretty wide paintbrush right now. It's a considerably big paintbrush for this small canvas, but I'm leaving it relatively large so that I don't get caught up in the details yet. So I'm forcing myself to focus on the big picture rather than the details. Okay, and here is like some green space, some green land that's kind of moving between the rocks. I need to get new towels, but basically I cover my tables in towels, and yeah. Do you see how the contrast up here makes the background make sense? And you really have to give yourself enough time to see the vision through. And in our microwave society, and with just not just microwave society, because I feel like that's cliche and we all know about that, like it's also just the fact that everybody compares themselves to everybody because of our society of like social media and blah blah blah. Like you compare yourself and you're like, this looks like shit, and then you stop. So just push through that, okay? Push through it, because it takes time. In here, these are supposed to be the rocks. I think I need to mix a medium shade of gray, so I'm just going to mix it with my paintbrush on my paint palette and just plot it on there. Okay, that looks more rock-like with that medium shade. And then now, wait, there's supposed to be a rock back there too. That kind of disappeared. All right, I'm plotting in where the rocks need to be. I'm scumbling it in basically with this light shade. It's the same color as I used as the background. And actually, I'm gonna move some of that in through the little stream in here. Side to side motions, side to side. It's getting there. We're not there yet, but it's getting there. In here, we have light and we have dark. We're going to put the medium shade of green in here in a minute. And it's kind of ambiguous. Where is the ground starting and stopping, and where is it the stream? It's okay if it's ambiguous, okay? That's how nature is. We're going to take the medium, hazy, murky shade of green and kind of move that in here. And then we're going to take the dark shade of green and reiterate that, but we have to mix it. I might have to make more of the turquoise green. Yeah, but yeah, dark shade of green, move it in here. So these side to side brush strokes give that illusion of like reflection. And then look, I'm just kind of covering this up, and I'll add little highlights in that area in a minute, but right now we're setting the foundation for this side of the painting. Okay, the hazy green, and this isn't even quite right, but it's a little more right than it was. So that's good. So we're gonna make these hazy distant greens by taking the light green, the light murky gray green, and mixing it with white. And we're gonna do this side to side motion. And actually up here I feel like is kind of a blue. Okay, I made a blue green gray color just now, and we're gonna work that into the sky. So all of this is like cloud. All right, what I'm painting now is the sky behind the cloud. So it's the negative space. I see that that's a harsh line, so we're gonna soften that here in a minute. So just bear with me. Okay, so then you're gonna take that hazy yellowish color, which I don't even know if that's the color I think it is. Sometimes you lose track of the colors on your paint palette. All right, so we're gonna just work that into the gray so it feels more like a cloud. So yeah, that feels accurate. And then right there, just making it a little darker. And then softening. So it's like a back and forth between the dark and the light, and now it feels like this soft, hazy moment happening. We'll just move that down into this area. We're gonna paint over that. All right, so now I'm using my dark greens, and I'm making a stick that goes off the canvas, and then little tiny side to side brush strokes that are kind of bumpy. This is the tree. Look, I'm allowing a lot of space in between my bumpy dabbing motions. That looks really good. It's getting there for sure. And it's also getting darker, so sometimes people like the fact that in my videos it gets darker as the day goes on. So yeah, I mean, it's like, oh, it's a ASMR video and it's getting darker and it just kind of lulls you to sleep. So yeah, here we are. And again, I don't think I'm going to totally finish this painting today, but I do think I'll be able to get to a really solid stopping point, and then I'll come back and work on it more in a little, like either tomorrow or sometime next week, and like finish it up, you know? So, all right. Let's go back to split fade and pulling up my reference. I think it's important to have days where you're in the studio and you kind of commit to painting the majority of one painting in that setting, because it forces you to just push through these procrastination feelings. Okay, so in here we're gonna do the medium bright green. This is some of the light coming through from the trees that are distant, and then we're gonna paint some trees that are closer up, and then some more light in here. We're just gonna paint it in. And like I said, if you can get the majority of what you're trying to convey on the canvas before you leave, then you have enough of there to have the essence already ready to go. All right, in here, let's get some light green. Okay, I need to mix shoot, by the time I know what I need to mix, oh yeah, okay, hang on, where's my paint, okay, so it's basically like white and fluorescent yellow. So we'll just take this whole thing of white right here and mix it with a little tiny bit of fluorescent yellow. And that is, and it's mixed with a few other colors around it as well. Ooh, part of it's dry, so acrylic paint usually has, like, it forms a film. Okay, so you have to sometimes, like, get through that. Okay. Alright, so that's the color I'm looking for. Oh, wow, okay. Okay, so we are gonna move this through horizontally, side to side. Just like that. This is the ground in the distance. It's the light fluorescent white. And then look. Wait. Yeah, that's supposed to be kind of like something like that. And then, oh, there's a crow out there or something. making this hazy fog with that same color in the distance. Nice. Oh wow, it's getting dark. It really is getting dark. We'll get to a stopping point. All right, we're gonna take I'm basically mixing gray with blue and white, making like a blue. I'm using my brush just to mix it on my palette because I don't have a ton of mixing space. Okay, it's a bit too bright looking. Okay, that might be better. I still feel like it needs to be darker, so mixing it with some green. Okay, I'm trying to make like a blue, gray, green. This is better. Okay, so it's like making some ground back here. And it may need to even be slightly lighter, but this is a good start to what I was trying to achieve. Like in here, it just needs to be a bit darker. I'm going to take that fluorescent white mixture and just kind of work it into, I don't know, I'm kind of second guessing this color and direction. So I'm trying to get an exact color. It's a bit too dark, but when I mix in a light color, it kind of just sits on top of it. It's not mixing in the way I want, so this is good. I'm kind of working it in to the light, and you'll see I'll mix the light gray back into it. Like, look. So now you take the fluorescent white yellow color and you move that back into the gray, and then you kind of have to find that balance between where it starts and stops, because this in here is supposed to be like a fog, but the fog doesn't have meaning without the darkness around it, but it can't be so strong that it doesn't feel foggy. Okay, mixing a little bit of green, like bright green, into the ground of the fog that's on the ground, and then it kind of goes up into the mountains. Again, adding more paint to my brush and moving that lighter layer up into the distance. All right, again, moving the fog into the dark gray, or it's kind of like a medium dark gray in here. And then up here again, adding more fog to soften some of those lines. I mean, it looks really cool. I'm gonna mix some of this. It doesn't need to be that dark, but it does need to be a little bit darker in here. making this feel a bit more solid and maybe a bit more jagged too, because it's a mountain, so it's not necessarily totally perfectly straight, you know. I mean, that looks pretty good. Oh, my skin is sticking to the chair. Okay, so I'm just gonna add a little bit of more in here, and then I'm gonna call it a day, and then I'll come back and work on it more later, because I feel like it's getting a bit dark. In here, I'm seeing this needs to be more round and dark and filled in. So we're just gonna fill this in. When you're getting to a point where you're like, I need to take a break, my art teacher just told me to just, you know, fix the things that bother you and then walk away. So I'm gonna highlight some of these dark spots on this side. I definitely need to make this more of a tree, because it's supposed to be a tree, but that's definitely going to bother me if I don't put that in. Keeping it very spacious, like not very thick. And I'm just doing this number here with the paintbrush, just kind of dabbing, and then it almost just blends in with the ground, really, in here. Which we can do some things later to kind of bring out some of the dimension. Just kind of dabbing it like this. Just a little, you know, tap, tap, tap. Okay. It's at least, hang on, I don't love that at the very top. Let's take some of the white or the light sky color and just kind of work that in behind it. For now, that's probably gonna have to do. Adding a little bit of a lighter green in here just to kind of give it some dimensionality. Taking that pasty kind of turquoisey green, adding it in between the two trees. Just creating some space, some light. Okay. Taking the color I used on the background, just kind of working that into the water again, side to side. Again, taking some of the pasty kind of turquoisey green, moving that in. That's our medium shade. And then working in the dark, dark green again around it. Trying to cover up some of that canvas that's showing through. Just enough that I can walk away and be like, okay, this looks good. I see the vision. And then I can come back and add those final touches. You know? So yeah, I think that's good for now. I'm here for it. And again, it's not done, so don't critique it too harshly. Anyways, I want to thank you guys again so much for watching me paint this. I'm not done with this painting, but I think it's a really good start. I'm glad that I got through the hardest part of the painting, which is actually starting the painting. So yeah, we'll see if I can finish it up tomorrow if it's quiet. If not, I'll come back next week. But I do want to try painting on a Sunday because that's when Bob Ross painted. So I thought, you know what, let's try painting on a Sunday. Again, here is the painting so far. I think it looks solid. It's not done, but it's there. It's at least there. It needs some balancing. It's a little too highlighted in here and whatnot, but we'll get there. Okay, we get there. It doesn't need to be like 100% right away, like I said. So thanks again for being here. I will be back to finish this beautiful foggy painting, and I have my paint palette already here, so that's gonna be nice to just get right back into it. Although a lot of it's drying, we might have to remix some of these colors. I'll put the lid on. I'll show you what I do. So it's Masterson is the brand, and you can actually get it on Amazon or your local art store, and you just seal it up. It's airtight seal. It's paper that is like paper that you're able to mix on, that you replace. So like when you're done, wow, my skin is like literally sticking to the chair, but I love this new stool. If you look at my earlier videos, I used like a stool from my kitchen, but like you see, this is an old paint palette and it's dry now, but like it's paper that you just tape in and then you can remove the paper. So, and I'm actually saving these so that I can use it for a potential collage, because it's nice to have like organic color blobs. Look at this one. And yeah, I waste a lot of paint, but you have to be okay with wasting paint in order to make good art. So if you're super stingy with your materials, you're gonna make bad art. So you have to be not stingy, you know. Anyways, I used to paint oil. Now if I do paint oil, I use water-based oil. Now I'm using acrylic. These are all heavy body acrylic paint. Well, not all of them, but I use Gaffrey Art Materials, which is heavy body acrylic, but I learned how to paint with oil. So my art history is with oil. Like I started taking oil painting classes whenever I was a kid. And then I did oil all through college, even though it wasn't required. I only used oil. But in college, I moved to water-based oil because it's better for your health and for the environment. So to me, that was just a no-brainer. Not to mention, it's better for, it's easier to use water-based oil. So here's the painting so far. I think it looks really good. I probably should have used that angle more throughout the process, but then you can't see me, and we all know I'm the star of the show, so yeah. Actually, what I think I'm gonna do is flip my reference upside down, as well as my painting. And this is a good way to get yourself outside of your it's a good way to see it as abstract shapes rather than like, oh, the sun, the sky, the trees. You have to see everything as abstract shapes, excuse me, in order to get that. Honestly, you have to see everything as like shapes and colors in order to get it to look realistically. If you start seeing something for what it is, you're not going to be able to paint it. It's weird. So this takes you out of your head of like what you think it is you're painting. Okay, so I'm gonna try, this one's too tiny. But basically I need these smaller paintbrushes for some of the smaller shapes. And then also I have this paintbrush for some of the interesting technique stuff I'm gonna do. And then I need a bigger brush for some of the, I might have to actually start I might need a mix paint soon. I'm just gonna stay focused and then I'll mix some paint. Highlighting the rocks. Everything is backlit, so the lighting is definitely more subtle in some places. In here it's foggy, and the fog makes the transition between the land and the mountains hazy, so we want to keep it hazy with this light shade of yellow. Again, this will, oh, it's a little bit too pasty looking. Move that into some of the green, just kind of highlight. But changing a brush size is important, especially once you get detail in your painting. The brush size is important. Okay, now the part that's kind of hard is I need to look up close for this part. It's basically in here. I know I'm cheating, but okay, it's like I kept it really ambiguous, so I'm gonna keep it ambiguous, but it does need to be darker. So just doing side to side brush marks, some up and down brush marks in a few places to create the illusion of grass in the distance. Taking some turquoise, moving the turquoise into the water area. I need to do a darker shade of turquoise too, so I'm mixing that really quickly. I might need to mix more colors soon, like I said, to get refocused with the color palette. It's too bright. Making the water come out to that side and this side. And then taking some of the dark gray green and separating a few of the spaces, like in here. I can tell I was confused. I'm not sure where to put everything, so hang on. Where was I? Dang it. Okay, I think I was right here. Sometimes you lose where you were in your painting. Okay, and then I have to bring the light back in to that area because there is that contrast, but there's also water moving through it. it's like a little bit of both. There's dark and light back and forth, and it's not totally clear where the water starts and stops, where the land starts and stops. But that's actually what's going to make it look a little bit more realistic, because instead of outlining everything, everything's going to look a little more ambiguous, which definitely is actually what is closer to reality. And again, my reference image is, I generated it on AI. I know I'm horrible. Whatever. Up and down brush strokes to kind of create that grassy illusion. Wait a second, I have a rock here and a rock here. I think I need one more rock. Oh wait, or is it just like a cluster of light? I think I'm just going to make it a cluster of light rather than a rock. That looks good. Okay, again, building up the darkness. Something I found that I did a lot in my paintings last year was like the lighter parts were thicker than the darker parts of my painting, and I wanted to be aware of that so that I can make sure that I wanted to be aware of that so I can make sure that I have thick paint in the darkness as well. Just adding some lighter green in the darkness so it feels like a little moment shining through the darkness up here as well. Adding darks within the darks and lights within the lights. I mean, that's really truly a lot of what makes something look realistic. Little highlights just by touching, barely touching some light. Okay, in here I'm noticing in my reference, now that it's upside down, I can add a lot more wow, I think I just added a whole other tree. Basically, I'm going to add some fog and some distance between this tree and this mound of darkness. Looks a little too pasty, so I'm adding some green back into it. And then just kind of keeping it ambiguous in here. Adding some light and then adding some green back in so that this hopefully reads as a cluster of trees. Creating some space, and then I'm going to go back in with my green and go back over that space. So now taking my dark green, we're gonna add a few it's like just adding the branches back in. I feel like it's a bit thick, so taking some the bluish gray, carving in some negative space between the tree and the branches. You see? Isn't that nice? Okay. And then just adding one or two really prominent branches from this ambiguous evergreen. And then in the back, around the tree, adding in more paint for the sky. And I might actually have to mix up more paint for the sky because it's a bit thinner than I would like it to be. All right, let's flip this over and see what it looks like. Already, wow, way better. And that's always fun about flipping your painting over after looking at it, you know? I'm getting close to being done. Getting very close to being done. Added more white to my paint palette. Okay. I'm just going to take a little bit of fluorescent yellow and mix it in with my white. And that's that hazy sky color. I don't know if you can see it. And then let's do, I need to get like a medium shade of gray, so we're going to do black, white, a little bit of blue, it's a very blue shade. A little too blue. Let's add a little bit of tiny bit of red, like very little bit of red. That's close. Let's take half of that, add a little black to it. That's more of the color I'm looking for. My paint palette is almost dead. I mean, there's hardly any room to mix. Those were the colors I really needed to mix, so I'm gonna go ahead and go for it. What was it that I saw? Oh yes. In here, this needs to be hazy again because I think I lost some of the haziness. This technique is important. Where you put light over dark, even though, excuse me, you can do light to dark and dark to light. Most of the time I do light to dark, but after you get something on there that's really dark, you can always put light over it. So I made that line way more soft and hazy. And this needs to be kind of more solid, like less fading, and just more of like a solid color. And if you look up close, you'll see that nothing on here is super realistic. Everything is very kind of abstract and connected. Adding some space in between the trees on the right side. And then some hazy. Basically, I'm taking the gray I mixed with, mixing it with the fluorescent white-yellow mixture. I brought those together and creating some space around this tree to where it feels a bit hazy, a bit spacious. I mean, that looks cool. I love that. Let's add some of that gray in here, in the rocks. I feel like this rock could be a little bit more detailed, going back and forth between the light and the dark to get that balance, so the light and the dark feel like connected. Again, it's important to have different shades of green. We have some really bright shades, some kind of milky pastel-y shades. We have some grayish shades of green. We have some lime green. There's a bunch of different shades of green in this, so keep that in mind. A little bit of highlighting. I feel like that needs to go in. It's like when you have a reference, whether it's real life or not, you have to, there's going to be parts of it where you kind of take from, but you don't have to, it doesn't have to be an exact replica, if that makes sense. Let's add a few little highlights with the light gray. It's like little flowers, basically. Dot, dot, dot. Just dotting. It just feels like plant life, but it's dots, organic dots. That's nice. Going back to the fan brush to add more detail and to just make it feel like, I don't know, it just looks cool. Alright, I'm going to zoom in on the right side of my reference and work on that side, and then I'm going to do the same on the left side. Okay, so it's like just kind of going in and touching it in a few places with the dark as well as with the light, because the light makes a difference. Like, look, like that. just gives kind of it's like a certain technique. If you get too much paint on your brush, it doesn't really work. But already that feels more grassy. In here, maybe that could be softer. That looks good. Some light little highlights. That looks good. Taking the really light green, kind of moving it in back. It's like the hazy pasty green. Just making it feel like, oh, there's trees back there. Let's take the that might have been a little too thick. If you do something that just feels like it stands out too much, you can either take that as like, oh, I'll do more of that because I like the fact that it stands out, or you can kind of just take it away and be like, all right, that didn't work. You can take it away by wiping it, you know, or just painting over it. Just going in, adding a little bit of a medium gray to the rocks. And then taking a darker gray. There's a little bit less control with a brush like this, but that's kind of why it works too, because it's like it kind of forces you to loosen up a little. I wanted to shade the water, but not too much. That's good. There. Then I might need to bring the light back into it. There. Okay. I mean, it looks pretty good. I don't know, it might be done. I appreciate you watching. I think that I am done for now. Let me take a picture of this. Wow. That's really pretty. I feel like that could be toned down just a bit. Maybe just kind of, yeah, kind of tone it down just a hair. All right, well, thank you so much for watching. I think it turned out really good. I think I'm done with this painting. I hope that I don't look at it later and change my mind. I mean, already though, I do see something I want to fix. I think I'm done until I realize I'm not. 1 second. In there, I just feel like that needs to be hazier. That's better. It looked better when it was hazier. And then I think I want to make the sky a little bit thicker, like thicker paint. Because I mixed all of this paint for a reason. I think it was because I was planning on putting it in the sky. So let's go ahead and do that before I call it a day. So. That looks good. All right, let me take another picture. Oh yeah, that's so pretty. I'm happy with it. Let me just break up some of these. Just breaking up a few of the moments on the tree. Okay, that looks good. I feel like every time you can use the same paint palette for probably 2 painting sessions, and then after those 2 painting sessions, a lot of times your paint starts getting very muddy and mixed. Like you can see, a lot of it is dried up by now and kind of muddy. So if you use the paper like I do, and in the airtight seal, you can peel off the paper and transfer the wet paint onto the other paper, which that is risky because you do risk getting paint all over yourself, and I definitely have done that, but it's worth it. I'm going in just kind of, it's hard to know when you're done with a painting. It really is hard to know. If you have quite a bit of paint still left on your canvas or on your paint palette, and there's some places you could enhance, like what I'm doing right now. I'm making this darker in here. Then, now's the time to do it when you're finishing up your painting, is to just kind of, if there's anything that, like, any paint left on your palette that you're like, okay, I could use that paint, you might as well just do it. Like what I'm doing here, I'm taking the gray and I have dark gray, and I'm taking the light gray and I'm mixing that in with the sky to give it more of a an ombre vibe. And especially if you're working from an image or something like that, it's okay if your painting looks different than the reference. That's what makes it yours. So I'm going to make this to feel like more certain on the shape. Like, it's okay if your reference is different than your painting. That's a good thing. That means that you painted a painting that's yours and only yours. So don't get discouraged or frustrated with yourself. I mean, if there are elements of your painting that you're like, okay, I truly wish that this part of my painting looked more like the reference, then analyze it and figure out how to change that one part. But if it's just because you want it to look like the reference all the way through, like, there's really, no point in painting something exactly like something else. Like, even if the nuance of your painting is in the fact that you have more brush strokes, more texture, maybe a wider range of color, maybe you made some choices in your painting that show up as, like, I don't know, something unique. That's fine. I'm flattening this so it feels more distant by adding that light shade of gray over. It's like the shade of the sky. I'm adding that over the mountain in the background to make it feel more distant and hazy. That distance and that haziness is what makes it exciting and makes it feel real. Okay. Now in here there is a slight difference in green. There. Oops, maybe too much. Push it back with more of the lighter shade on top of it. I just want this portion to feel closer to the viewer. There. Maybe. Okay. All right. I feel like that's pretty good. Just adding a few little marks in here so it looks like it's water coming through. And then I want to make this more solid in here. This highlight of water so it feels like it's reflecting off of the sky. A lot of it is just feeling it out until you get it right, honestly. But I'm streaking the light paint into the dark paint side to side to get the illusion of the reflection of water, balancing gray, greens, pale yellow, dark gray, colors like that. a little highlight in here. And I want to kind of contextualize that highlight with more water around it. You can always open up certain parts of your painting, change the direction of certain parts of it. Ooh, I like that gray in the water. That really looks nice. There we go. Although I feel like I could make it a little bit darker in here. There we go. That looks like a rock, which I'm happy about. It's very rocky. Okay, let's add a little more texture to this rock to make it look more rocky. That looks good. Okay. I keep thinking I'm done, but it's like kind of a detailed painting, you know? And again, I guess I can always go back into it and work on it, but sometimes you get to a point where you're just like, even if you did work on it, it's just, it is what it is. Like, I'm getting to that point with this one where it's like, even if I do change things here and there, it's still ultimately going to give the vibe that it gives. I'm going to make it a little bit darker in here. And then kind of make it almost seem like that there's some trees back in the distance. And some rolling hills. And this type of detail work can really make the difference. Mixing a little bit of gray. And softening this line. Brightening that up a little bit in a few places where it just feels like the sun is hitting the grass. I'm gonna break some of this up with the white. Make it just feel like sticks coming up. Adding a little bit more green. In here, moving that green into the darkness, which honestly in here there's a lot of blue showing through from whenever I drew this portion of the painting earlier on, so I'm just kind of integrating that into the rest of the painting. Once you start painting everything, you have to start thinking about painting in between things, and that's whenever the painting really starts to come together. going back and forth between my lighter greens and my darker greens. Lighter greens and darker greens. See, like in the dark green area, I'm going to add a few light green brush strokes, a few little clusters of grass, if you will. If it feels a little bright, you just go back in with some dark green or gray, and you just kind of move that gray into it. I'm zooming into my image so I can start seeing some of those smaller areas, like in here, in between the rocks. A few little. That looks good. Making the trees feel a little bit more wispy by adding like thinner details with my small brush. And then in between that, you can always take some of the color of the negative space and just kind of break it up to make it feel even more wispy. Doesn't that feel nice? That feels so realistic. It's like about capturing the essence of things more so than making it look exactly like using lighter green up at the top of the tree where it feels a bit heavy. And in between some of the branches. This might feel a little bit too, I don't know, repetitious, I guess. Doing the same thing, just kind of making a few little wispy moments on the tree, a few little dots to make it feel more detailed. And then some light dots in between some of the darker places. And that just makes it feel like there's little pine cones, pine needles happening. Breaking this up a little in there. That looks good. Alright. Let me take a picture of this. I'm really excited about this. Actually, let me show you a close-up of just the painting. Isn't that pretty? But anyways, I'm really, really happy with how pretty it looks. I feel like it looks so soothing, whimsical, tasteful. I want to be there. I'm just really happy with it. I'm really, really happy with it. Just taking it in. Again, thank you so much for hanging out with me during the duration of this painting. I got it done, in a relatively quick time frame. Although I will say landscapes do take some time. I'm surprised at how much time landscapes take, because you would think that a portrait would take a longer time or something. Maybe it does. I think landscapes and portraiture both require a good amount of time. But either way, I love this. I do feel like I could probably just fidget with it for so long. But at a certain point, you just gotta be like, okay, I'm done. I like it and I'm done. You know what I mean? I just love the fact that it feels so realistic, even though it's not, if that makes sense. There's a balance between the realism and the impressionism. which I love. But yeah, I'm glad I was here to hang out with you. Thank you for being here to hang out with me. And yeah, one last picture, one last view of the painting. Oh yeah, and let's just acknowledge how cute the pants are and the shirt with this painting. I mean, it's just so cute. I feel like they match in the best way possible. And again, one more close-up of the painting. Yes. And honestly, this inspires me to do more landscapes because I love this landscape. It's so chill and simple and minimal, but not. It just looks like a good arse landscape. And I feel like in a world where everyone's trying to be like new and different and inventive, it's kind of nice to go back to the basics of like, hey, landscape, we've been doing this since the beginning of time. Like, this is art, this is painting, it's a landscape. So again, I will see you later. Strike a pose. I hope you enjoy yourself, stay safe, and I will be back. And I do want to do a self-portrait, but I feel like I need to get the right photo of me to get the right portrait. So that might take a little time. But yeah, let me know in Discord what you want. All right. Yeah. Bye. Love you. Mwah. So I realized that you may not have been able to see a clear version of the video of the painting because I think my camera was like in and out of focus the whole time, which I do apologize. But here's the final painting, and I wanted you to see it up close as well in this camera. So that's it. There you go.